You thought things were bad when a band of slavers kidnapped you from your home and made you a slave on their pirate galley. But now that ship has wrecked on a mysterious island filled with danger and intrigue. You and a few other fellow escapees must band together and pit your meager skills and resources against pirates and nature. And perhaps when this is all said and done, you might make a few amazing discoveries as well. This week, I take a look at the 1986 TSR module release N4 Treasure Hunt, coming right up on RPG Retro Reviews. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, RPG Retro Reviews. I'm Captain Courageous and I review old school modules and games and try to give them a fun and informative analysis. This week I'm happy to present one of my most requested reviews, Module N4 Treasure Hunt, released in 1986 and written by RPG industry luminary Aaron Alston. Alston is well known in the RPG community for his many contributions that include Gazetteer 1, The Grand Duchy of Kermikos, Dungeon Master's Design Kit, The Complete Fighter's Handbook, Dawn of the Emperors, Theotis and Alphatia, the D&D Rules Cyclopedia, Champions 5th Edition, and many, many other titles. Alston also was a prolific novelist, writing quite a few titles for the Star Wars Expanded Universe along with Michael A. Stackpole for the X-Wing Rogue Squadron series of books, the New Jedi Order, and much, much more. Sadly, Alston passed away from heart failure in 2014, but his fantastic legacy of work lives on. Just a quick spoiler warning. I'll be giving out the details of this module, especially a lot of DM tips and information, so if you'd like to play in it, then please direct your DM to this module and stop watching now. Otherwise, let's begin. Amazingly, up to this point in 1986, a true introductory adventure module for the AD&D game had never been written. Sure, quite a few well-done first-level adventures had been published, but nothing comparable to, say, Keep on the Borderlands for the basic D&D game that handholds and guides the DM through potential pitfalls in the story had really not been done. Furthermore, this marks the first official appearance of zero-level characters in the game. More detailed rules for zero-level characters would later appear in the Greyhawk Adventures supplement. In addition to the zero-level aspect of the player characters, Treasure Hunt is distinctive in the way it gives advice and guidelines to the DM on how to run the adventure. This module is great for newbie DMs as well as newbie players. There is both a player's and a dungeon master's introduction. For the players, they are given instructions on how to create their new character. Stats are rolled using one of the methods described in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Each character receives 1d6 hit points, and it's interesting to note here that the module suggests alternatives to a straight-up roll for hit points. A player can roll 3 times and take the best roll, or the DM can just allow the PCs to take max hit points. Pretty progressive advice for 1986. The module also has the PCs rolling on the secondary skills table in the DM's guide to give an idea of the character's occupation prior to the start of the module. Finally, due to the nature of the adventure, the characters start with no money or equipment. In addition, PCs do not even start with a character class or an alignment. Those will be determined as play progresses. The module offers pre-generated characters as an alternative. The Dungeon Master's introduction gives the basic plot of the adventure up front and then goes on to explain how the players will ultimately end up with a character class and alignment about halfway through the adventure. The DM is then given instructions on how to evaluate what character class and alignment to assign to each character based on the actions they take during the adventure. To assist in this, an evaluation note sheet is given to the DM to help keep track of each player's actions during the course of the adventure. Zero-level characters are proficient in one weapon, either a dagger, quarterstaff, or dart. In addition, as they play their characters, they will gain certain proficiency in abilities such as how to use a sword or even hide in shadows. During the course of the adventures, characters can find things that will help them in this endeavor, such as finding a spell book, for example. Once they have accumulated enough experience points, 500, to reach first level, the DM will take the player aside and give them the results of his evaluation and double check to make sure the player agrees with the DM's assessment. This is great advice. The player and the DM should confer to determine the character's alignment in class. This is really an interesting technique for character creation. The one thing that I do disagree with is the re-rolling of hit points. Essentially, the player can keep the hit points they rolled as a 0-level character or take the hit points they roll in their new class. I see no reason why these new hit points shouldn't just be added directly to the existing total, but that's just me. Anyway, the module also introduces an entirely new setting, the Corin Archipelago, and quite a bit of detail is provided to help the DM get started. The module is broken down into episodes, with each section resulting in some major accomplishment or goal, resulting in experience points awards for the PCs. Episode 1 is the Sea and the Storm. Episode 2 is the Battle on the Hill. Episode 3 is the Temple of the Goddess. Episode 4 is the Manor of the Sea King. Episode 5 is Into the Catacombs, and the final episode 6 is Break-In. The adventure starts off with the characters all prisoners aboard a slaver ship. Naturally, I'm not too keen about adventures that start off this way, but this is the exception. These are not experienced adventurers with magic items and skills that have suddenly fallen to powerful enemies. These are mere farmers and tradesmen, not warriors, at least not yet. Further, they don't remain slaves long. As the adventure opens, the ship they were on gets into a violent storm and ends up crashing against some rocks, and the surviving characters end up on the beach. They are free, but for a lone slaver, Half-Chris, who will attempt to re-enslave the characters or kill them if he spots them. So the first obstacle to be overcome is encountered. A single broadsword-armed and armored one-hit die half-orc. Relatively easy prey for a first-level party under normal circumstances, but with no weapons to speak of and no armor themselves, he's a formidable foe. In their favor, Half-Chris has been drinking, and in his inebriated state, he's not quite as effective as normal, taking a -3 penalty on all attacks. This is their chance for freedom, but will the PCs take it? It's a great opener, and there are a number of creative ways a party could approach getting rid of Half-Chris. The next obstacle the PCs will have to overcome is the elements. It's cold, and it's raining. The wreck ship offers little protection against these dangers. They will have to seek proper shelter or perish, and so exploration of the island they've become shipwrecked on begins. In Chapter 2, Battle on the Hill, the PCs will come across a battle of orcs and goblin pirates, and perhaps rescue a very important NPC, Keystake, an old man who has a vast history on the island. Keystake was the personal groom of the Sea King Villadel, who was killed by pirates decades ago. Keystake has been living on the island alone ever since, and the new batch of rival orc and goblin pirates are there to plunder the rumored treasures of the Sea King that to this point have never been uncovered. Keystake will use the story of the treasure as a lure to get the aid of the player characters, but will be cagey about its true location and what it consists of. Most importantly, the PCs will be able to learn about the various island locations and perhaps a place where they can find shelter. Thus, the first thing they encounter in Episode 3 is the ruined Temple of the Goddess. Who exactly the goddess is left entirely to the DM based on their campaign setting, but suggests appropriate goddesses from the Legends and Lore supplement such as Ishtar or Athena. Exploration reveals the place has been recently defiled and plundered by the orcs and goblin pirates. The place was already a wreck after 60 years of neglect, but the disrespect and defilement shown by the pirates has angered the temple's goddess, especially that what was done to the beautiful sculpture of the goddess herself. It's possible to question Keystake about the temple. He knows it well and will even draw a makeshift map of the place for the PCs. There are dangers and treasures to be found here, but more importantly, the goddess herself will make an appearance, at one point animating her statue using its form. It's possible to earn the goddess's favor here, especially if someone took the time to clean off the statue previously and who is reverent and respectful. Perhaps a future cleric? The danger here is a hidden ghoul who, given the zero-level status of the PCs, is a real challenge. They can also learn that the goddess intends to destroy the island completely due to the actions of the orcs, and the PCs have but a day to find a means of escape from the island, or they too will perish along with those who dared defile the temple. Episode 4 finds the PCs going to explore the manor of the Sea King, searching for objects of power mentioned by the goddess in the previous chapter, that hopefully will result in escape from the island before disaster strikes. Keystake once again will draw the PCs a makeshift map of the place for them, as shown here. The place looking like a giant capital H. This offers many opportunities for adventure, as the rival factions of goblins and orcs are also exploring the ruined manor house. And so there will be sneaking and attempts to avoid the direct confrontation with the pirates. There are many ways to go about various tasks, using distractions or even direct confrontation with the pirates while they go about finding a way into and then exploring the manor, all while learning about the history of the Sea King and the tragedy that befell his family from Keystake, and the remains they find about the place. The manor house is fairly large and may take some time to explore, but the main find is in room 52, the scribe and record room, where a secret shaft lies hidden behind a bookcase that leads to the catacombs below the manor house and the treasure of the Sea King. Episode 5 then is the exploration of the catacombs, but experience is awarded beforehand based on a variety of factors, but most importantly, the treasure acquired during exploration of the manor as shown here. This should be enough to allow the PCs to reach first level at this point, and it's here that the players and the DM decide what class they will be, and they become full and proper first level adventurers. Keystake will once more draw a makeshift map for the PCs if asked, though the old man's insanity takes hold and he attempts to have the PCs killed through deception and traps. In addition to this complication, there is also the zombified corpses of the Sea King and his queen, which pose the final real obstacle to the PC's escape from the island. There is a secret chamber that houses a boat, a small galley that was there to take the prince away when, in a future age, the dead are raised by the gods. Within is the dead prince Horadel, lying in state in finery, armor, a bastard sword, chests of coins, a very fine treasure indeed. Beyond this room is the ocean. All that remains is for the PCs to break through, set the boat to water, and make their escape. But the pirate, orcs, and goblins have also found their way into the catacombs and are in pursuit of the PCs and the many treasures they've uncovered. Episode 6, Break-In, is the finale of the adventure. The PCs fight the zombie king and queen, attempt to avoid pirates, and set the galley to sea. Orc pirates in pursuit. The fury of the goddess is unleashed, and they sail away in the resulting maelstrom. The island and the pirates who dared defile the goddess's temple are destroyed. The PCs have escaped in the nick of time, and now they have treasure, weapons, and have acquired skills that will serve them well, and a sea vessel capable of taking them where they wish to go. Adventure awaits. The exciting cover art for Treasure Hunt is by the talented Jeff Easley, which depicts the final scene of the module, the PCs escaping the island just as the fury of the goddess results in its destruction. Interior art is by Stephen Fabian, who would go on to beautifully illustrate many of the Gazetteer modules for the Known World series. His work here is quite good, and several full-page pointillism renderings that definitely capture the excitement of the module. Cartography is by David S. LaForce, Stephen D. Sullivan, Bill Rauter, and Stephanie Tabat. Getting a copy of the module has never been easier. Right now, Drive-Thru RPG is running its Christmas in July sale. The PDF is just $3.76, while the POD and the PDF together is on sale for $13.43. Looking for an original print on eBay can be tricky. There are some overpriced print-on-demand modules there for around $20, so buy with caution. You can tell which auctions are for an original copy as they are overpriced around $70 or more. So let's go ahead and take a look at Module N4 Treasure Hunt on my D20 scale of style, presentation, and value. Style-wise, this one is a winner. The adventure is about 30 pages total, but the combination of the two appendices and the handout ups the page count significantly to about 54 pages. There are quite a few handouts, and the PDF is a phenomenal scan, and you can print out the maps from Keystake as well as the character tracking forms for the DM's use. Artwork inside and out is exceptional and captures the scenes described in the module quite well. This is easily a natural 20. The presentation is overall quite good. My one nitpick with it is that a lot of important aspects of discovery and items are hidden in the many room descriptions and require care in reading so the DM doesn't miss anything, which can be a bit frustrating, but for the most part, the module does a great job of hand-holding the DM through the adventure's potential pitfalls. Appendix 1, If Things Go Wrong section is essentially handy. What happens if a PC dies? What happens if the PCs don't try to explore the island or escape? What happens if Halfgrist survives or if the PCs don't recover Keystake? What happens if the PCs don't go to the temple? Appendix 1 does a great job of answering these kinds of questions. Given the way players can and frequently will deviate from the module's path, this is great advice, and each solution suggested is well done and not railroady or to force the DM to do something adverse to the PC's desires. The story itself is exciting, and the idea of zero-level characters stranded on an island of pirates, discovering treasure, and ultimately becoming adventuring heroes goes to the very core of fantasy adventure gaming, and Austin pulls this off brilliantly. This is a classic adventure yarn with many dangers and edge-of-your-seat escapes. It's presented in such a way with sound advice from Austin that even a new DM could pull off the appropriate tension and excitement. But in the hands of an experienced DM, this could be pure gold. I'm going to rate this a 19. Finally, let's talk value. Whether you're playing a modern version of the game or going old school, this is a great start to just about any campaign. The Corin Archipelago can be placed in any campaign setting with little problem, and the rules for class and alignment acquisition can probably be adapted rather easily for just about any edition of the game or OSR clone. This is a solid starting adventure, and I suspect, like such classics as Keep on the Borderlands and Village of Hamlet, will be run many, many times by DMs over the years. The collector's prices on eBay are pretty outrageous, but the solid deal from Drive-Thru RPG makes this one a no-brainer. I'm going to rate this a 19 as well. And that brings the overall rating for Module N4 Treasure Hunt to a 19. Amazing. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this review useful and enjoyable. I'd like to take the time to thank all my patrons who make this channel what it is and these videos possible. Thank you so much. Next week, I'll be taking a look at the City of Greyhawk box set. Please give this video a like, comment, and share. Please check out my Teespring store for great gaming swag, t-shirts, carry bags, coffee cups, and more. Join the channel's Facebook page, RPG Reviews, and consider supporting the channel by becoming a patron yourself, or alternatively, you can just send a tip through the PayPal tip jar. A link is in the description. And as always, my friends, may your D20 roll true, and game on.